Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ruckus and The Menace podcast, a sports podcast where we talk about sports. If you were looking for sports somewhere else or not looking at sports, you're in the wrong place, but if you are, awesome. I'm here with my co host in crime.
And I'm Spence the Menace. I was like,
And
I thought you were actually going to go through like the straight introduction
oh, no, no,
at
no,
that
no,
point.
no, no. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about the Week 12 NFL recap. The NCAA or NC2A, as one actor said, and we are Marshall. College football champ week for conference championships, and a first look at the MLB hot stove. Gonna be cooking up some ramen there. Anyways, Spennis, how have you been?
It's been good. It's been good. I don't know if we're necessarily going to be cooking up ramen on this hot stove. Um, hopefully it's going to be better than going with some ramen. I would probably prefer it to be more like a nice Italian pasta, but that's just me. But
Are you cooking it the pasta?
it's authentic pasta. It's not an impasta.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
But Thanksgiving, Black Friday rush of work is through and gone. Now we're through. Now we're into Christmas, and I've gotten to be able to now watch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I will give you the heads up now. Be prepared for that movie to be long, and be prepared for that movie to be emotionally heavy.
Like any Marvel film.
Not
Long
necessarily.
as far as length, yes, but emotion
It,
depends.
Yeah, it's like a 240. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. But with Ryan Coogler at the helm directing this, it's like as if the plot points he was wanting to put into the film and the proper development of characters, it looked like it may have been 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it looked like not a single minute of it was wasted. There was like no real wasted motion. Was kind of where I was at with that. But the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, this thing is ridiculously stupid, but it is funny. I was dying laughing.
I need to check that out.
Yeah, it's only 42 minutes long, and I'm sure you've probably heard about the plot and how they were, and knowing about getting a certain 80s actor. But all the while, I also had been playing some Pokemon Violet, and during Thanksgiving, we had the sibling Mario Party game where the oldest brother becomes the defending champion once again. I had to win this one on the last turn, though. Played a 15 turn game, just like we did last year, but stars this time around were at a premium, and I had to get them. and
A
I,
dub is a
and,
dub, my friend.
oh, I had to. Oh man, my sisters did not like that I kind of took the cutthroat approach to it, but I'm like, but as I was working the map, I'm like, this is gonna turn to night, and I'm gonna be right here, properly in position with this boatload of coins and an opportunity that if I roll right, I have an opportunity to not steal not one, but two stars. And I ended up rolling what I needed. I needed a 9 to get 2, and I got a 10. I could have won it with 1, but I
So
took
you
the 2 just to be on the safe side.
so you played a Rage Against the Machine. You rolled right. Roll call.
Oh, it may have caused them to have rage against the machine, but
True story. True story.
yeah, but what have you been up to, Ruckus?
Well, as far as Thanksgiving went, I went ham on Thanksgiving while sleeping off my failure pile, engineered by yours truly, myself. and had some good times hanging out with family. I could explain it in literally a minute. A failure pile, as I call it, is literally the base is mashed potatoes. Then the next layer is two rolls, or you screw it up. And then the next layer after that is a couple slices of ham, and then to finish it off, you put some noodles on there, and that's it. That is what
Wait,
I call
what kind of noodles are you putting on this thing?
like so like those like egg noodles that you'd use in like chicken noodle soup,
Oh, okay, egg noodles.
but they were
Yeah,
handcrafted so by my grandparents, but they are so good. Every year we make a running joke that I'm going to eat all the noodles because I love those things to death. But
I'm like,
also go ahead.
I was like thinking, of like, wait, is he putting like some macaroni? Is he putting like a pasta in there? Like, no, we're just talking straight egg noodles.
Yeah, it's just straight egg, hand made from scratch with a I don't know what broth, probably like some type of chicken broth or something. I don't know, but it's really good. Um, as far as I also got to see my niece after it'd been a minute. But yeah, good times hanging out with family, and watched a little bit of football on Thanksgiving. Watched the Bills game, watched the Cowboys game, both good games, and got some time to relax and sleep in. Definitely a big plus there. All
Yep,
right, are we ready for the starting lineup?
yep. And for the starting lineup, we kind of have to start out a couple of major injuries in both sports, as Allen Robinson and will be out for the season with a foot injury, and on the baseball side, Bryce Harper is going under the knife for Tommy John surgery and will miss the first half of the next baseball season. A couple of major moves in free agency consist of Jose Abreu signing with the Astros, Mike Clevenger to the White Sox, and Carlos Santana to the Pirates. Miguel Cabrera is retiring after the 2023 MLB season, and Liberty head coach Hugh Freeze will be leaving Lynchburg, Virginia, where he has had a good amount of success, and which also was where Malik Willis was. And now he is going back to the SEC and going to Auburn, where he will coach against Nick Saban in the Iron Bowl. Matt Rule, who basically has been rejected and fired by Carolina, is now going to Nebraska. And Luke Fickell, the coach who is known for the recent success of the Cincinnati Bearcats, is heading to the Big Ten as well. Only he will be going to Madison, Wisconsin. And World Cup soccer continued in Qatar as Germany got a draw against Spain to keep a fighting chance to advance, and they will play their final group match tomorrow. The U.S. advanced yesterday to the knockout stages, and Mexico gets bounced at group stages due to a single goal differential that ended up not in their favor, as Poland became the second team to advance out of Group C, along with Lionel Messi and Argentina. Messi also potentially is rumored to be coming to the U.S. for professional ball at Inter Miami, but has not signed. But no signatures have been put to paper yet. So that is still a story that is currently I'm looking out and keeping an eye on to have the wheels turning so that hopefully, Lord willing, I get an opportunity to see DC Inter Miami in DC to actually watch one of the best players in the world play. Now that we've gone through all of those, and I know I kind of hogged a lot of the time there, Ruckus, but
No
we needed
worries,
to
no
let this
worries.
thing fly. I fall to 4-8 in my fantasy football this week. Is my opponent's Thanksgiving Day players just I left Dalton Schultz on the table, but I wasn't expecting two tutties out of him. Thielen I left on the bench too, and I ended up getting a lack of production for the players that I needed to have some.
Yeah, I should have benched Scary Terry as I could have put Pacheco in and maybe done something, but at the same time, I still lost horribly, by like 10 points or so. So I'm not last, but I am third place in my league, so I'm still contending for a spot.
Yeah, I'm having a fight, but it's going to be difficult. But now we get to the real football as the Week 12 recap kicks off here this week. Ruckus, who was your most impressive team?
Mine were the Flying Eagles, as they somehow, some way, somewhere, just fought off against the Green Bay Packers in a very close game on Monday night,
Oh, I will say
or
the
Sunday night, I
fact
should
that
say.
Philadelphia ran the football as well as they did says a lot. And that to me is made made the Philadelphia offense impressive. I took the Cleveland Browns as my most impressive team this week. Having to fight through and get through an overtime game against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and to potentially put Tampa Bay in harm's way of getting eliminated. And the final game with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, leading to a David Njoku catch that was one-handed with a guy right wrapped around his ankles. This is some good stuff, and maybe Cleveland could catch a little bit of momentum and play spoiler. But I would prefer them to do it with Brissett at the helm.
We will
Who was
definitely
your
have to
most
see.
disappointing? Who was your most disappointing team?
I would have to say the Arizona Cardinals, just straight off the fact that the Cardinals, they have the talent there, just not the potential as far. I mean, yeah, they lost in overtime late in a game, but against the Chargers, who have a lot of people beat up in their arsenal, even on defense as well, and the Cardinals seem to be somewhat alright. What I mean by
Oh,
somewhat alright is just like they have the pieces there, and from what I can tell, they were healthy for the most part. So it's just like, now what?
oh, the Cardinals lost it at the last second. Cardinals lost it at the last second on 2-point conversion.
Even then, still, like, come on, like, you gotta do better than this. You did really well last season. Granted, you probably had a easier schedule, but here we are. Come on, Cliff.
My disappointing team was the other team that lost by a 2-point conversion late, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. To the point that even Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark are doing a tag team breakdown, offense defense, on routes that are fundamentally wrong for the Baltimore Ravens offense. And that Lamar Jackson was not able to make the plays that he could because the routes on the plays were fundamentally off.
Dude, that deep throw, though, was something else. That's all I'm gonna say about that. From Lamar Jackson. That was impressive.
I mean, but still, offensively, you can't. You they just can't give up. Like they keep giving up. Like some of the defensively, they keep giving up the wrong plays. Offensively, they keep. I think Baltimore could be sitting themselves in a position to miss the playoffs yet again if they don't clean this up.
Yeah, it's definitely not good.
Who was your most impressive player this week there, Ruckus?
Well, he's a former OU Sooner, Boomer Sooner, and he now plays wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and that is CeeDee Lamb. as in week 12 he had 6 receptions for 106 yards and 11 targets.
Yeah. I'm taking this over to the Meadowlands and going with the Jets, as Mike White, for me, was the most impressive player this week, as he went 22 of 28 for 315 yards and throwing three tutties in a game where Zach Wilson was benched and Joe Flacco was the backup behind him. So Zach Wilson fell all the way to third string, and Mike White got the start.
You could say he was the wingman for all the moms. He was the third wheel.
Or I think the Jets offense was looking for the the white stuff. As Mike White was throwing the right stuff, which is actually the actual title of the song, to get the victory. And for those of you that did not get where I was going with that, that was a New Kids on the Block reference.
Yeah, I couldn't even get that either, but I just rolled with the punches because
Well, that one kind of predates even me.
either way, I was still like, okay, whatever. Like, Spennis, I trust you.
Yeah, yeah, it actually just barely predates me by 2 years. Was born in '90, and the song actually came out in 1988. So, but now we get to our Eastwood segment
the
of
good,
the high heat.
the good, the bad, and the ugly. Wah, wah, wah. See, you could hear that time. I managed not to
Yeah,
screw it up.
yeah, yeah. That is true.
All right, you want me to go with my good?
Yep, yep. Let's go with your good here.
All right, we'll start off with the Philadelphia Eagles keeping up the good work against the Packers. I just think they fought them off like they should have, especially if they want to show that they are not a slouch when it comes to how their standings are as far as being 9-1.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like they didn't coast either. They bounced back after they've bounced significantly back after a bad loss, or after, although it was a good win for the Commanders, it was a bad loss for the Eagles. So that bounce back, and especially with how well the Eagles were running the football, and Jalen Hurts' efforts throughout that entire game were also impressive. As I listened to the podcast, listen to the Kelsey brothers kind of break down a lot of those like quarter and half records that Jalen Hurts was having, and just the semantics of how deep they had to put the rabbit hole just to make that to happen was pretty daggone impressive. Shout out to Jason and Travis Kelsey for that podcast, for New Heights and that podcast, which is very entertaining.
Especially since he needs all luck he can get this Sunday in his hometown, Cincinnati.
Well, for actually they were more they actually I think grew up in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, which I think might be closer toward, of course,
Uh, I'm
Cleveland.
I'm just
It's the
thinking of
alma mater.
Cincinnati.
It's the alma mater they went to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, you ready for my bad?
Yep.
All right, my My bad of the week is the first start for third string Bryce Perkins, as he was taken down for, I believe, three takeovers, including two interceptions. There might have been three in there, but I feel like it was two. Either way, he got rushed pretty good, and that is my bad of the week.
It's like it's almost like why do you even put him in for that? Like that just looked a lot worse for him than what it really could have been.
I don't know. I guess
But
if one of your, if like Alfred, I think was the second string, if he's out with an injury or of some sort, you need to put the next man in no matter what.
yep. And I'm gonna say my bad this week happens to be Tyreek Hill and his chase for history in trying to get 2,000 yards in a single season. As this is his second game under 100 yards, and he was held pretty. I mean, Miami was already up a ton, so it's like they've almost stalled him out, preventing him from having like a 200-yard game to try and cover up a lot of those lost yards. So it may be that they may not care about the pursuit of history.
Yeah, I think it's more
And
of just keeping him healthy too, because he is getting older, and as you get older, your legs aren't as what they used to be. So
yeah,
he showed signs of limping and other random cramps and stuff from the past couple seasons as a Kansas City Chief. So I would not be surprised if they're trying to like preserve some of his talent and
explosive ability, yeah.
yeah.
But I would have loved to have seen history be made. And we are, and unfortunately, due to these last couple of games, that chance and that chase may be going up in smoke. And what is your ugly this week, Ruckus?
My ugly is the Cardinals' record so far, as they are 4-8 and suffering without. Well, this week they were playing with Kyler Murray, but in the past couple weeks they did not have Kyler Murray, and it showed with the things that were unfolding. I mean, you have Colt McCoy, but Colt McCoy isn't probably as talented as Kyler Murray, but Kyler probably spends more time trying to prestige in Call of Duty than he does throwing the ball, probably.
I think Cliff Kingsbury is also prestiging downward.
That is for sure. He is falling. He is falling. He is about to fall on a cliff, you could say.
Oh, the wagon wheels are falling off in that case. They may not have even gotten themselves back on. I would not be surprised that at the end of the year he's getting called to the owner's office and saying, "Cliff Kingsbury, see ya." But my ugly this week is the offensive identity of the New Orleans Saints. They are the only team this week that got blank.
Yeah, it was a
And
sad showing too.
it's almost like at this point that Jameis Winston needs to get back onto the field for them, starting at quarterback. Stat. But I'm going to talk about this a little bit further later. What was the best game for you this week, Ruckus?
I'm gonna have to say the Commanders Falcons game because it was a very close game till the end, but it was also a very just somewhat intense but very interesting game as the Commanders uh, defend at FedEx Field and beat their opponent, the Atlanta Falcons, to an
Left
interception.
hand up.
Yeah.
Oh, that was definitely a big game that it took both sides really doing well with the running game. It was definitely a very quick game because both teams were running the football. But for me, the best game was Jaguars Ravens, as it took Zay Jones the last second and some ability to hang on to the ball or hang on to the game, as the Jaguars were able to stun the Ravens by a single point. The worst game for you this week, Ruckus, was?
The Saints and 49ers. Just, I saw the score and I was like, yeah, that had to be probably one of the worst games to play. And then I saw the highlights and some other videos talking about the Saints and 49ers game, and that's that game just was an embarrassment for the Saints.
I had the Dolphins and Texans. The Dolphins were scoring so much early in the game that they were making the Texans look like their toy soldiers. Just straight clowning on them. They took their foot off the accelerator in the second half, but still, the roll was they just looked unstoppable on offense. Well, Ruckus, along with that, what is your bold take for this week?
Honestly, whatever Odell was on that plane, I think either it's a dream or a reality, and I believe Odell will reunite with the Rams, just based off of the fact that Cooper Kupp is injured and going to be out for a little bit. You, the only other one is Vance Jefferson, and your tight end Tyler Higbee is beat up too, so it would make sense for Odell to reunite. But also, who knows?
Well, here's the problem. The Rams are not a contender. OBJ wants to go to a contender. The teams that he wants to go, I highly doubt the team would even want him. The only one who has not flinched about everything that had happened is the Dallas Cowboys. So my hunch is that Jerry Jones will aggressively pursue OBJ to be a Cowboy, but I don't think OBJ signs anywhere this season unless he goes to a contender. My bold take is the Saints must explore all options at quarterback this offseason. Every single one of them. And this is also including, but not limited to, trading with somebody that may have a little bit of worth of pick wise to try and get you into the first round, where a good amount of those quarterbacks are going to be. Sorry, but Andy Dalton may be starting, but that red rifle has turned into a red eye BB gun and is shooting the Saints fans' eyes out. Jameis Winston lost his job due to an injury and needs to get back into the starting lineup. Because Andy Dalton, this ain't it. And then the Saints look to draft a quarterback or sign a big name that kind of has had no hope. This could be an opportunity to even trade as well, or take advantage of Washington dropping or hopefully dropping Carson Wentz. There's enough options for the Saints to go to for potential quarterbacks. They just need to explore them all. And what is your burning question this week there, Ruckus?
All right, my burning question this week is: Do the Eagles' upgrades on defense, are they good enough for a long playoff run with Ngamakin Sue and one other player that I now blanked on that are both on the defensive side of things? Will they make a long playoff run, or will they or will they push the brakes and have a short playoff run, or not make it at all? I mean, they have a really good chance of making it to the playoffs. Let's be honest here, but is it long enough for a playoff run? Is my burning question.
They can get somewhere. They're potentially going to be the team that has home field advantage. And home field for them is a huge thing. So, with that said, I don't even think the defensive upgrades were that much of a concern. Meanwhile, if you're talking about getting them to a Super Bowl, it's a big potential option. Now, my burning question this week is, does the Bills' championship chances rest solely on the health of Josh Allen's elbow? Does the potential for the Bills of a championship live and die on the laurels of on the health of Josh Allen's elbow, as opposed to how he would be in the running game?
I think it's more of a thing that of both sides of that, so the offense and defense. Because if you saw that Titans game on, was it Thursday night or Monday night? It was one of the night games that they had against the Titans.
Yeah.
That game, when most of their defense was fairly healthy and not beat up, they steamrolled the Titans. And they also somehow beat us um, earlier this year. I think it was like week 6 or something like that. The Chiefs, and I believe they even had some or most of their defense there too. But but that was before Allen hurt his elbow. But at the same time, the Bills have managed to win 2 in a row with even with his elbow issue that he currently is trying to overcome while playing. I think it's more probably needs more weapons to deal with. Yes, he has Dawson Knox, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and other players at his disposal, but I think he used to have Jay Crowder at one point, and I don't know what happened to him, but he was there early in the season doing like the little things, like little route passes and short passes like that. But to be honest, I think they're still in a good change of pace, but I think they need to get healthier in order to make those championship chances better rather than worse over time.
I noticed this also with Thanksgiving. Josh Allen was missing guys. Not just like, oh, I threw this just a little bit short, or I left it a little long, or I left it with really just outside of a range where you could get to it. No. Josh Allen was missing guys, like underthrowing guys because of not having enough power on the ball. Josh Allen was missing guys. So I really do think that this team for Buffalo can only go as far as the health of Josh Allen's elbow will take them. Simple as that. I think it does hinge excuse me, on Josh Allen's elbow, as that's a major injury that probably at the end of the season, Josh Allen's probably going to go through some sort of Tommy John surgery or some sort of thing to repair that bone. And all we can wish him is the best.
All right. Anything else till we get into the next segment?
Good, moving along.
All right. Now we move to the film room. This week we have six and six total, or 12 total matchups that we're trying to predict this week. Six for college football championship week, and six for the NFL. All right, Spennis. Uh, what do you have for Utah versus USC?
All right. Well, we forgot to even mention last week as far as your record, as
Um,
you ended up with a nearly perfect record. This was your best record that you had all year, and you lost the perfecto on the very last play of the game.
I just
In it,
try not to brag, or like shed light on it, but it is
oh,
what it is.
oh no, I was definitely gonna go that way. All right. So Utah versus USC. This is for the Pac-12 championship, and what this is going to come down to. This is the game that is probably going to be the biggest swinging for a Friday night, and it is going to be the biggest determining game as to whether or not Ohio State breaks through after losing to Michigan in, for the college football playoff. If USC loses, Ohio State has a great chance of has a decent chance of breaking through. I am going to take USC in this one, keeping Ohio State out. The next game is Kansas State TCU for the Big 12 championship.
I'm going K State, EMA.
I am taking the team that is currently in position for the college football playoff. I am taking TCU. Nobody else is going to be making it in there. The SEC championship game, LSU versus Georgia.
Me and you both picked Georgia.
Yep. UCF versus Tulane. This is the American Conference Championship game where we both picked Tulane. Now, the Big Ten Championship game, Purdue versus Michigan.
I'm going Purdue just out of instinct rather than we're actually more of an educated guess, not instinct.
We are going to be hailing to the victors and taking Michigan, as Michigan will secure their playoff spot and keep a slew of other teams out. And the last one is the ACC championship game between Clemson and North Carolina.
I'm gonna pick the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
In Clemson in this one. All right, so the Amazon Prime game this week just so happens to be a good one in a high pressure week 13 in the NFL. Buffalo, New England, we both have decided to take Buffalo. Jets, Vikings.
I'm kind of hesitant because I really want to pick the Jets, but maybe the Vikings come up. But I'm gonna pick the Jets just solely on their defense, not necessarily like Mike White. But all right. Who are you picking for the Jets Vikings?
I'm taking the Vikings here. I'm taking the Vikings here. The Commanders versus the Giants.
I'm picking the
This is the.
Commanders.
I am taking the Commanders as well for this reason, and that is that the Giants are falling down. They're trending downward. The epic proportions of this matchup are huge. I mean, we're dealing with high pressure matchups in week 13. And I am definitely taking the Commanders here as they are the team that should be getting to the playoffs at this point, not the Giants. Titans Eagles.
I'm picking the Eagles. I think they shut up the Titans.
With Jordan Davis not in that lineup, do the Eagles have enough? Do they have enough to get a victory against the team who is known for running the football well? I'm taking the Titans.
All right.
Miami, San Francisco.
I'm gonna go with the Dolphins.
I'm taking the Dolphins as well. And then we both also said the Kansas City Chiefs will be taking care of the Cincinnati Bengals. And now that we've gotten through our film room picks, we now are going to the color commentary. We used to call this the setting the lineup segment, where we go through, have scenarios that we kind of talk about, debate our decisions, kind of just break a few other things down. And if you have ideas for this, mention them to us through YouTube, Twitter, whatever, however you see fit. This week's color commentary is called Cooking on the Hot Stove. And this is part one of this as more free agents kind of come along or change places or come off the list. We then can change them accordingly. But the predictions here are, where will these notable free agents sign? And we will start with probably one of the most dynamic shortstops leaving Los Angeles, Trey Turner.
I think it's gonna be Philadelphia, but we could get a surprise and he might go to the Mets. Who knows?
Honestly, think he's going to be staying as a Dodger. I don't think the Dodgers are going to want to let go of this guy, especially because they let Justin Turner walk. The next one is Jacob deGrom.
As far as his health goes, I don't know if you would really want to give him a big contract, but I could see him either re-signing with the Mets if the price is right, or if rumors have it, maybe the Atlanta Braves. But honestly, it'd make more sense if he stayed with the Mets, but we'll just have to see.
I think he stays. I think he stays a Met. Xander Bogaerts.
I honestly think he takes a team-friendly deal with the Red Sox. Yes, you still have Trevor Story, I believe, right? Because they, or was that more of a trade where they still had mutual options for more years since he was taken by the Rockies, right?
What, for Trevor Story?
Yeah.
No, that was a free agent deal.
Okay. I don't know. I think you keep him
Yeah, we
in
picked up Trevor
Boston.
Story in free agency. My thing is this: if you are sure that you want Trevor Story to be your shortstop and not your second baseman, the Red Sox have to let Bogaerts walk. On the other hand, if you want Bogarts to play your second baseman, or if you want Trevor Story to be your second baseman, the Red Sox keep Bogarts. If you want to make pretty much Bogarts a third baseman, Devers would have to be moved if you go to Boston. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you for certain teams, it's like if you want to open up two slots for a couple of players of that nature, like a Bogarts, be my guest, but money is going to become a major issue. I'm thinking Bogarts walks, but I think Bogarts is going to entertain every offer until the right one shows up. But I do think if there's a good future for him, he stays in Boston. Dansby Swanson.
Would it be weird if he went anywhere but staying in Atlanta? I feel
The
like he'd probably stay in Atlanta unless they decide to go with someone better or cheaper.
concern is how would the how would the teams handle really not so much handle Dansby Swanson, but kind of because he's going to be a like compared to your Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa, the cheaper option is clearly going to King, going to basically Dansby Swanson's not the king of the castle as far as yours. But
Right.
I think Atlanta is probably going to be his ultimate destination. Carlos Correa.
Um, really, I don't know where he goes. I wouldn't be incredibly surprised if he went back to the Astros, but who knows really where he would go. I but I could see him going to like a big name team like maybe the Yankees. He's got that clean baby face anyways pretty much. He would fit right in. But they just got Isaiah Connor Falefa back, but I don't think Falefa's going to really be playing shortstop.
I would say Carlos Correa. His big thing will be it all depends on how much pursuing of him AJ Hinch does. I think this could be Carlos Correa's ultimate chance to become a Tiger. But I think this also could be his chance to be scooped away and become an Oriole. Be set up to eventually be grabbed by Houston. But I think Houston is going to have Jeremy Pena. So unless Carlos Correa or Pena decide wants to move, I think Carlos Correa is not going back to Houston. I think Justin Verlander, on the other hand, stays in Houston. I believe that Cody Bellinger is going to want to go to a hitter's ballpark where playing the outfield defensively will have to be his key. And he wants to slug. He wants to slug. So I think Cody Bellinger might benefit himself by going to an American League team or a team with a hitter's ballpark.
Hmm.
Are there any other
Um,
notable ones that we want to kind of talk about before we move this thing forward? Because I know that we had about 15 names, but I know that we probably may not benefit ourselves by going through them all.
I don't know. Cody Bellinger to me seems like he would probably either be a Red Sox or possibly sign like with the Oakland Athletic. Well, no, not Oakland because they're very, 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 very cheap. Maybe he goes on a prove it deal since the past couple since last year wasn't his greatest showing, and last year kind of showed it as well, like on in 2021 or
Yeah.
2020. It just didn't look good. I mean, the year that they went to the World Series, he wasn't the greatest, but he still did what he could, and that's the. I guess you could say the same thing as for Max Muncy, but he's not a free agent currently. Um, Maybe Carlos Rodon goes to another American League team instead of going to like a National League team like he did last year. Judge, I have a feeling is going to stay with the Yankees, possibly.
Yeah, I think Judge is staying put.
And then Justin Verlander, I think he probably stays put unless a bigger offer is set for him from a team that he feels could win it, could go for a championship, or is more just financially stable for him and his family.
Yeah. Well, that's the clue on Verlander. Yep. I think Judge
Anyways,
stays a Yankee. I think Wilson Contreras will be a fun option. I would love to see that type of production go to Boston, but I think the Cardinals might be a more realistic option, especially with Yadier Molina retiring.
and you don't have Matt
And
Wieters anymore either as a Cardinal.
yeah. But now that we've gotten out of the color commentary, we now are going to go to our primetime game. And this week, our primetime game is an NFL Lock It In. Now, Lock It In is this is our this is definitely a prediction segment in its own unique type of way. And the question will be we have 5 locks. The question is, how many of them are going to be broken? All right. But with this, so for parlay, or well, how do we want to kind of start this? Do we want to start with the first lock, or do we want to kind of go through all of the locks that we have?
Um, we could kind of glance at all the locks if we wanted to.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
Go for it.
So the first lock is a game winner. And my question to you, Ruckus, is do you want to do this without the spread like we do for the film room? Or because this is the primetime game, do we want to go against this? Do we want to go in factoring the spread?
I don't know a whole lot about the spread, so I feel like we should probably keep it simple.
All right. So my question to you, Ruckus, is your game winner, your single game winner.
I believe does this have to? So this will go based off of a game that you thought someone was going to win. So I'm going to do this based off of the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs game. So I'm going to pick my game winner to be the Chiefs.
Hmm. To go with something that was a little bit more of a gimme to kind of secure the points. And I am going to be taking the let's see here. There's a couple of really good ones that I'm wanting to look at. But I am going with I probably should go with the Browns Texans or Ravens Broncos in terms of odds there, and kind of go for go for that. I think I'm going to take the Ravens. The Ravens over the Broncos. So the first lock, game winner. Um. So, so you said you were taking the Chiefs.
Yep.
All right. The second lock is a player that you will have at least one touchdown receiving or rushing in this game, or in the game that you are picking it from. It does not matter what game we decided on for the big one. But for this
Um,
one, it is a matter of which player is going to score a touchdown for you most likely.
it doesn't matter what game.
Does not matter the game. The touchdown in this case will only count if it is by running or by receiving.
I think Jamar Chase scores a touchdown.
So you are going to take Jamar Chase, running that off of your same game of the Chiefs against the Bengals. I think my prediction as far as a throwing or rushing touchdown, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles for that. So you have gone Jamar Chase. I will be going Jalen Hurts. Okay, so the third lock, the quarterback in your particular game matchup that will have the most passing yards compared to the opponent's number. So where are you going with this one?
I think Joe Burrow's gonna have more passing yards compared to Patrick Mahomes because yes, both quarterbacks have running options and can run with the ball and or throw it to different targets, but I think the defense of the Bengals is going to be more superior than our air attack on defense. As far as the corner situation goes, with Jesse Bates and a couple of their
See, Bates is a
corners.
safety.
Still though, like their defense um last year and this year has been fairly decent from what I could remember. And I think Joe Burrow's gonna have a more luck because it's a younger defense for the Chiefs compared to what it is for the Bengals.
For me, I am going to take. Ooh, this one is going to be very, very tough. I think I again am going to go in the route of Eagles Titans. I am taking Jalen Hurts. Taking Jalen Hurts over Ryan Tannehill. As far as passing yards for the game.
All right, the fourth lock
Yep.
is the defense that will have 2+ sacks.
2 or more sacks. Which
Um,
defense are you rolling with here?
Well, there's. I feel like it's gonna be equal as far as the inside. So I'm gonna have to go
Yeah,
with Stone Cold Jones and his hot cocoa.
who are you going with? Going with the Chiefs?
Yep, Chris Jones. So the Chiefs.
I'm gonna take the Commanders here.
Good one. That is a very good one.
All right, and then our last lock is a single game parlay where it's got 3 legs. Most legs correct wins the lock, and if all 3 are completed by both of us, you get the you get something, or you get something in a sense of you get the lock that will help you win the primetime game.
All right.
And the question for that is, what movie would you consider having the leader at halftime?
Um, I have a feeling it's
And
gonna be a.
my question is which game are you choosing?
I'm choosing. I'm sticking with the. I'm thinking about sticking with the Chiefs Bengals. But do you want me to go to a different game? Is my question.
That is entirely up to you.
Okay. Um, for my first leg, the game leader at halftime, I think it's gonna be a stunner, and the I was thinking Bengals we're gonna be the game leaders at halftime because it's at Paul Brown Stadium. But hmm, because if history says it, when we went to the Buccaneer Stadium, we really wanted to beat up on the Buccaneers, and we did, and we were leading at halftime. So I'm gonna be ambitious, and I might get chewed out later this week if this happens. On the negative side of this, Chiefs lead at halftime, but not by a large margin.
Okay. Hmm. I am going to take. I think I'm gonna go. I think my run is going to be the. I think I'm gonna look at it here, and then I'm gonna say my run is probably going to be. I think I'm going Colts Cowboys. I think I'm looking at possibly taking either Colts Cowboys, Seahawks Rams, or Browns Texans. I think I'm gonna go with it. I think I'm actually gonna take Broncos Ravens, and the Ravens are going to lead the Broncos at halftime. Who will
So
be the
Lamar
quarterback with the
Jackson.
most?
So Lamar Jackson versus Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson versus Russell Wilson. And I am also taking Lamar Jackson as far as the second leg of this parlay, the quarterback with the most passing yards.
I'm gonna take. Um, Even though I said earlier that Joe Burrow's gonna go over Patrick, I'm going Patrick Mahomes because Patrick's got more weapons as far as unknowns, and I think he can make do. As far as the third leg is a kicker with the longest field goal made in distance intervals of 10 yards. So, for example, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, all the way up to 60 or more.
Yep. And I am probably going to say, all right. So what was the distance you said? You said
So
about you're in the 50 to 59.
I'm gonna have to say somewhere around there with butt kicker.
Yeah, I am going to take. Well, oh, this is just the distance. Like this is distance, not
Okay.
the person kicking it. Um,
Honestly, I think I might go 40 to 49 on mine.
leaning toward 50 to 59 because what it looks like, based on what I have there, that yeah, it's in Baltimore. Yeah. Yep. And now that we've got that all squared away here, we now can go to our stud and dud for the week. Ruckus, who you got?
My stud is Josh Jacobs for not only stealing the show for the Raiders with a raid of his own by getting 33 carries for 229 yards and 2 tutties, but just in general, just getting the dub for the Raiders.
My stud this week comes from the soccer pitch, and it goes to the man who scored the game-winning goal against Iran to get the U.S. into the knockout stages. I'm going with Captain America, Christian Pulisic. And he sacrificed his body to actually get that goal, too. And I'm sure you also had an honorable mention there, granted with Furious George, but let's just go to the actual dud.
All right. By the way, the honorable mention was the first career sack for Furious George. My dud this week is the Rams sideline was literally beating themselves as Sean McVay got hit in the head by another Rams player. And then there was another incident on the sideline between two Rams players, and it was not a so uh, it wasn't a like physical like fist to fist dispute. It was more that they just collided on the sideline again. I believe it was Perkins and somebody on the
Yeah,
second
Cam
one.
Akers. Cam Akers. It's like Perkins extended his arm and accidentally caught Cam Akers in the face.
There you go.
But my one goes to Seattle defensive player Daryl Taylor, as Quandre Diggs picked up an interception and is returning the ball down the field. Well, Taylor ended up getting a little too hyped up. So he's out there on the field as the 12th man on the field blocking. And the refs didn't catch him. He did not get caught. So everything involving that stood. Like, I was laughing, laughing hearing Jason and Travis Kelsey talking about this one, but it was actually really like it really was a dumb one for them. Like, why is he jumping on the? It's like, wait, there's 12 men, there's 12 men, but he did nothing to kind of draw attention to himself to know, hey, I'm not supposed to be here, and a flag be thrown. So yeah, it was a dud for accidentally running out of the field, but it kind of neutralizes a good bit of that because the receiver didn't get caught or the linebacker didn't get caught. But Ruckus, go ahead and take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and the Menace podcast, episode number 34. I am Ruckus.
I'm Spence the Menace.
And thank you for listening to this amazing sports podcast where every Thursday, if we can try, uh, we try to get episodes out, or not episodes, an episode every week, uh, with weekly date roundups of sports news and predictions. So, anyways, I am Ruckus,
Smash.
and we'll see you guys on the upside.
Yep. Deuces.